Ah, I bid you welcome. I shall be your game master for this tale. It is a pleasure to have you. Now then, just like this, I will be using cards to draw you into the world of this story. From time to time, you may be presented with choices like this. Incorrect. It doesn't mean anything, but still. You're following along with all this, I trust? Moving on, I believe your experience of the story will be shaped in no small part by my narration. As such, I hope you'll have rather more fun keeping the sound on while you play. That said, rest assured that the game remains enjoyable without sound. My words will be subtitled just as they are now. With the formalities sorted, we're all ready to begin the game. My. Yeah, you can hear the sound of the waves. Oh, how very evocative. Now then, let's begin our tale. Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of Cards. You're about to step into the shoes of the hero of this tale as he sets forth on a grand adventure. Said adventure takes place in a remote part of the sea, in which ancient traditions are alive and well. You will touch the hearts of many who dwell in this place as you journey to change fate's promise of untold ruin. I believe in you. I believe your journey will be a success. And on that note, it is time for that journey to begin. May the waves see you safely across the tides. Our story begins in a secluded grotto. The sound of the waves echoes softly across the rock walls. A solitary young man stands in front of a ship floating in the water. Brush in hand, he busies himself painting the vessel. Once he finishes his work, he decides to carve his name into the side of the hull. A finishing touch. You carve your name in small lettering into the ship. Oh, a handsome name, that. This young lad is the hero of our tale, and your window into the world. You're a navigator without a ship, and your soul yearns to set out upon the ocean blue, for your own reasons. You have spent a great deal of time repairing the wrecked ship before you, in the hopes of crafting a partner, aboard which you might sail the high seas. The sound of a wooden box tumbling to the ground rips through the grotto. You heave a deep sigh and decide to head over to the source of the racket. You need to head over to the source of the noise, so you turn back around. The source of the noise turns out to be a young girl. It looks as though she has knocked over a wooden box, packed with shipbuilding supplies, and is in quite a panic about it. The girl's name is Laddie. You came across her some time ago, collapsed on a beach. You attempted to bring her to a nearby village, but she was quite opposed to the idea for some reason. As such, she has been helping you repair the ship here. You're not quite sure how to respond to her knocking the box over. It's okay, you say in a gentle, reassuring tone. Laddie's worried expression melts away, replaced by one of relief. You move to leave the grotto, saying, I'm going to the village to get some food. Laddie waves goodbye, her forlorn smile seeing you off. The young woman has lost her ability to speak. Neither of you have any knowledge of how she ended up in her situation, and you spend many quiet hours together in the grotto. The scent of the sea and a sense of isolation hang heavy in the air. The island is bound for ruin and has had its name since before any can really recall. This is Omega Isle. You take a deep breath and then set out for the nearby Omega Village, which shares the island's name. An old spire stands tall before you. Alas, there's little reason to go poking around within. You have arrived near the entrance of the village. You spy a shadow skulking about in the midst of a thicket. The shadows fall away to reveal a small monster. It's unusual to see one this close to the village. It might be cute, but it's still a monster, and a threat. You must slay the beast before it can cause trouble or worse in the village. Fight him off. Gorgeous flower beds burst with blossoms that will one day wilt and wither away, much like Omega Village itself. This is a village that has accepted its fate to be but a moment in time, destined to fade. You stop in at the mayor's house and discover that he already has a guest. The two are engaged in discussion. You listen in and learn that they are troubled by monsters that have appeared near the village and have been devouring precious stores of food. The villager sighs deeply. I suppose it's about the end for the village, they say flatly before departing the mayor's home. The man left standing in the room has a certain sagacity about him. He notices you waiting and inclines his head in greeting. His name is Grief. As the village's mayor, he spends his days dealing with all manner of happenings around town. He looks to be at a loss over the damage being caused by the monsters. It would likely be a simple matter for you to deal with the beasts. You offer to deal with the monsters, and Greeth replies with his thanks. You're always a big help. This is part of your daily routine. You work to sort out the village's troubles in order to procure food to eat. A monster has appeared before you. It holds what's left of a piece of fruit in its teeth, and its mouth moves restlessly. With a sigh, you mutter, "Let's get this over with then," and ready your weapon. With practiced skill, you swing your weapon. The blade flashes through the monster's throat. Merciless. Perfect aim. It would appear that you are quite accustomed to killing. You wipe the blood off your weapon. As you do, you notice a shadow in the distance. Another monster, perhaps? You take the weapon on your back and aim it carefully before hurling it at the shadow with great force. It flies toward your target, tracing a perfect parabola. However, the tip of the spear strikes just slightly to the side of the shadow, which runs off. Whatever the shadow was, it was taken aback by your unexpected assault. It looks like it ran off in the direction of the spire near the village. You stand before the Spirit Spire, said to have been erected to protect the island. Yet with the villagers having accepted ruination, it now stands forlorn, an edifice without a purpose. This place, so named for the spirits themselves, is one that the villagers do not enter. Despite this, you say to yourself, "I have to get rid of the monster," and decide to profane the place with your presence. There are some words etched into the door, but they are weathered and difficult to read. Worried though you are about whatever the words might say, you nonetheless try pushing the handle. With some protest, the door groans open. You spy the shadow of the monster you had countered earlier. Your insight that it had taken refuge in the spire has proven a good one. The shadow notices your presence and flies off at blinding speed. You can't help but admire the rapid escape, though it looks like you're back to chasing after a shadow. You survey your surroundings, relying on the shafts of sunlight filtering in through the windows. However, you're unable to see the monster from where you are. In the back of the large hall, there is an altar, which evinces a sense of deep mystery. The altar is wrought of a strange kind of stone, its surface polished smooth. It looks as though it's meant for use in some important ritual. You approach the altar to check that there are no places for monsters to hide themselves away inside it. In reply to the mysterious and unidentifiable voice that suddenly rent the silence, you ask in a sharp tone, "Who's there?" You strain your ears, trying to make out the broken snippets of words echoing off the chamber walls. After speaking a word that rings familiar to your ears, "Laddie," the voice becomes impossible to hear. It cannot be. Could you truly have heard the voice of the spirit from the Maiden's myth passed down on the island? All signs of the monster you were in pursuit of seem to have vanished. For the time being, you decide to return to the village and report your success. When you arrive at the mayor's house, there is a young visitor already there. She looks to be making an impassioned request of Grieth. In a wearied voice, Grieth replies, "There is no longer any maiden in our village." Admonished, the girl leaves the house with disappointment written across her expression. You inform the mayor that you've taken care of the monsters around town. As thanks for completing the job, the mayor hands you a basket of fruit. Oh, good, you think to yourself. Another day, another basket of fruit. A lone woman diligently cleans the grounds of the Maiden shrine. The windows are closed, and it's too dark to see much inside. All sound seems to fall away. I wish I got to be the maiden, the girl says mournfully, dressed head to toe in maiden garb and clearly pretending to be such. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires. Will that be all? The proprietor asks. This might be the last time I see this flower bed, the boy says, gazing forlornly at the flowers. Home sweet home. You lay yourself down and close your eyes. An island in want of a maiden shall fall, he mutters, to no one in particular. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires. Will that be all? The proprietor asks. You re-enter the grotto and announce your return. On a normal day, Laddie would already have zipped over to greet you. But today, nothing. You walk over to Laddie and discover that she is sound asleep. Life in the grotto is not one of creature comforts. Rather, a fair few inconveniences. You've tried several times to bring Laddie to the village, but she was adamantly opposed on every occasion. You sometimes catch glimpses of her face while she sleeps. Always it is contorted in anguish, as though she is in the throes of a terrible nightmare. You notice a bulky book lying open next to Laddie, filled with carefully drawn words and images. It seems to be some kind of picture book that Laddie made herself. You know, I confess, I'm unable to overcome your curiosity. You decide to take a look at the picture book. Beside evocative images of deep forests and towering mountain ranges, Laddie has written a story patterned after the Maiden's myth. The picture book story is set in a small village replete with nature. The village enjoys the promise of peace and tranquility, thanks to the young woman born to be the Maiden. The Maiden goes before the altar to perform a ritual, which invokes the power of a great spirit to protect the village. You look over the artwork, a spitting recreation of the altar you saw in the spire, and think back on the mysterious voice. The voice claimed it was a spirit, and you're certain it spoke Laddie's name. You are so caught up in the thoughts racing through your head that you failed to notice Laddie had awakened. Laddie seems embarrassed that you've seen her book. Tears prick the corners of her eyes. If Laddie were indeed the Maiden, it would be no exaggeration to call her the very light of hope, a protective force that could save the island from its encroaching ruin. With faint expectation tightening your chest, you consider taking her to the altar in the spire. You've given Laddie some of the fruit you brought back. She dreamily stuffs some of it into her mouth. Maybe she likes it. You hope so. Your stomach rumbles as you watch her, and together, the two of you enjoy a light meal.